Warning, the Stone Age Gamer includes a lot of bad language. Cover your mother***ing ears.
Good evening and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer Podcast. I'm Kris Randazzo, and joining me tonight is the prettiest present under the tree, Dan Ryan.
Oh. Unwrap me with your teeth? Mouth? I don't know. Something sexy.
Tis the season to be sexy and buying gifts for friends, loved ones, and social obligatory acquaintances. So Dan and I have scoured the internet for the best gifts to buy for the retro gamers in your life. What will we pick?
Yeah, we have.
Hang your stockings from the chimney with care, because the Stone Age Gamer Podcast starts now. Hi everyone, this is episode 493. It is the week of December 15th, 2023. Dan, how are you, my lovely sir? Oh, how do I should pay you for this dog, huh?
Yeah, well, it's fine. We'll talk about that later.
I need to give you money. I meant to say that before we started recording, and then I looked over and I was like, oh, there's a dog. Oh, right.
Oh, that's right. Dog is now contraband. I'm good. My fucking shoulder is still killing me. Like, tendinitis or bicep tendinitis or shoulder tendinitis, whatever fucking tendinitis is happening in my arm, / shoulder, is really, it fucking sucks because it's in my left arm and I am left-handed, so everything I do just continues to aggravate it. And tonight we built a whelping box for a dog that we picked up last week, right?
What
because
is
you know
a whelping box?
Oh, well, it is a box where the dog, the pregnant dog, which this one happens to be, goes in and gives birth, and it contains the puppies and the mother, and the mom can get in and take care of the puppies, and then she can get out as she needs to, and the puppies can't, right? So it's really just to keep everybody safe, everybody contained. We can keep an eye on them, because if you remember, about a month and a half ago, I was like, man, I really need a break and all of that shit. And then we had Hopper for a little bit, and now I have a pregnant Anatolian Shepherd. And that's the thing. Like, it just doesn't ever fucking stop. And it's fine. It's whatever. She needed to be out of the situation that she was in. And if you don't know anything about Anatolian Shepherds, they are a European, I believe, dog. I don't know, somewhere not American. They didn't start over here.
It's just funny that you put the I believe dog as in, like, you're not sure if it's a dog.
Well, that's European,
but fucking, it might be a rat.
It's so fucking wild. Like, these dogs, they're legacy breeds, right? So they were kind of bred to perfection a while ago to do their job. They do their job very, very well. And then they kind of stopped breeding like pet-like qualities into them, which is to not to say that these dogs cannot be pets, but of all of the dogs that have come through my house over the last number of years that we have been doing this is the first one that does not feel like a dog. There is an animal in my house, because we went to pick this dog up. She was working on a farm. Her job was to protect the livestock. It was a goat farm here in Jersey, where the lady makes she sells like goat's milk and goat soap and like all that kind of stuff. But this dog, Peach, was not great at the job. She was a little too rough with the baby goats. Like, she was playing with them a little bit too much. And then the woman was like, okay, I'm going to have her spayed, because you don't spay or neuter working dogs. They don't work as well when you do that. So she was like, well, I'm going to bring her in and have her spayed. And, she's pregnant. I'm like, well, fuck. So she called us and she was like, I can't do this right now. I'm in the process of possibly selling the farm. I cannot have Anatolian Shepherd puppies. And these dogs, like I said, are they protect sheep, they protect livestock. Their job is to kill wolves. Like, that is what they are bred for.
That's fucking badass.
They have the strongest bite force of any dog. Like, that. This is the one. She is currently 123 pounds. Now she's pregnant, so, I don't want to call a bitch fat, but she's 123 pounds. She'll probably, it's a lot of dog. We took her to the vet today to get x-rays done and kind of get an expectation of when the puppies would be born. The vet said that he counted between like 7 and 8 puppies because she's so big they had to take multiple x-rays and kind of piece them together. So he was like, I could be double counting 1 or it could be 8 from what I can see in here. So 7 or 8 puppies that are going to be huge. And he was like, she could give birth tomorrow or like within the next 5 days. But you don't even have week. You have days before she gives birth. So it was like, all right, I got to build this fucking whelping box today to keep her safe, to keep my dogs away from her puppies and all of that shit. And it's just one of those things where it's like, all right, well, I got to carry wood and cut wood and drill and saw and do all of these things. And my arm was like, I mean, okay, I guess that's what we're going to do. I'm going to hurt you when you're done. And the, like adrenaline and all of that, whereas often you go down to sit and do your podcast, it's going to hurt quite a bit. And I was like, no, I know, arm. I know, but I got to do this for the dog. So anyway, short story long. I have a very pregnant, very large animal in my house. She's fucking like, when we went to the farm to pick her up, we got out of the car, we walked over and she and the father, Chonk was the dog's name. He was big and floopy. He was awesome. He was 120 pounds easy. Just fucking solid big fluff ball. And like we walked up and they were pleasant and they were fine. And then no shit, like when I tell you 15 other Anatolian Shepherds started walking up to the gate, it was like, what the fuck is happening? This is crazy. Because this woman's farm, these dogs are autonomous, basically. Like they don't exist to make people happy. They exist to do their job, and you can leave them alone. And she, like all of these dogs, Peach is 2 years old. She's lived outside for 2 years. She's not a pet. She has never been a pet. But we're talking to the lady, the farmer, and she takes us in because like there's baby goats there. I'm gonna go fucking see the baby goats, obviously.
In that
so
order?
We go in. Yes, asshole. So we go in and we're looking at the baby goats, and Tiff is holding a baby goat, and there's one of the shepherds that was in there that is in with the baby goats. Like the farmer told him it was okay for us to be there, told him that it was okay for Tiff to hold the goat. And the entire time that Tiff was holding the goat, like he was laying down, but his eyes, he didn't fucking blink. He didn't take his eyes off of Tiff the entire time. It was fucking wild. It was intimidating as all hell. And he was a very nice dog. Like he came up for loving and like, scratches and whatever. But as soon as Tiff put her hands on one of those goats, he was like, oh, am I going to have to fuck a bitch up? I might. I'm ready. You let me know. I will kill her and not even think twice about it. It was like, holy shit. Cool. Let's bring one back to the house.
Let's bring one that's full of smaller ones back to the house.
Yeah. Let's bring one that doesn't know us at all. And we might have to like go in and help her get babies out of her. this should all go well. Like, the vet told us today, he was like, do you guys have a muzzle? And we were like, no. He was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I got some rubber bands. That should do it.
He was like, get a goddamn muzzle, you fucking crazy person. So we got to muzzle her when she gives birth so she doesn't bite our fucking hands off, possibly. How you doing?
I've also had a day, but a very different day than yours.
I would imagine. I would hope.
Involves a lot fewer pregnant dogs.
It would be super weird if it was like the same day.
Except it was pregnant hamsters. No. All right, so let's see here. First off, it's 9:46. Gambler calls. Do you know who Gambler is?
No.
Gambler is the evil lord of gambling. You know that stupid gambling thing that I do online? There's one that the big one goes off at 10 p.m. on Fridays, which just happens to be when you finish your intro, when you finish your story, and I am supposed to start telling mine. So I've missed the big pop for the last 3 weeks. And I'm going to try it and not miss it tonight because I don't want to miss it. It's free money. So
yeah, no, for sure.
I gotta set myself up to be able to do this and make sure I'm pressing a button every 15 seconds for the next 10 minutes or so, but also be able to tell the story that I'm trying to tell. And that's the thing that's going to be the challenge. Because I'm not going to hold us up for this silly gambling thing, but also I like free money and I need free money to save up for things. It's, you get the free money in very small increments at a time.
And
it's a thing. So, today has been an interesting day. Today was not at all the day that I expected it to be. As in, yesterday in the mail, I got my Atari 2600 Plus, which I have been feverishly excited to plug in and mess around with. Now, as I got this thing for work. So me just getting it and cracking it open and playing stuff, that's not really its intended purpose. Its intended purpose is for me to make a video about it. So the first day I wasn't able to really play with it because I didn't want to open it up and then not do the unboxing. I wanted to unbox it for the first time on camera. So I waited until today when the kids were at school.
That makes sense.
Because I didn't want children underfoot while I was trying to figure this out. And as I was waiting for today, I came up with some grand ideas. All right, I don't just want to plug this thing in and go to town. I want to answer some questions because I have a lot of questions about this silly ass thing. And I'm sure there are other people who have these same questions, and I haven't watched a lot of YouTube videos on the subject, but I haven't seen anything that definitively answers the questions that I had about this unit. So I'm going to go ahead and answer those questions myself in my video. And I think that will be a useful thing for the internet to have.
For sure.
So what I wanted to do on a lark is I wanted to have my ancient CRT, not the big one, my big Trinitron that I have regularly hooked up and all that. I went into the garage. I grabbed this tiny little, the big antennas on the back of it, wood paneling on the outside, old CRT. It's a tiny little thing.
Old thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Something that the 2600 was designed to connect to. I grabbed that, and I grabbed one of my flat screens, and I set up a table, and I put those two side by side. And the plan was to show direct side-by-side comparison between the 2600 and the 2600 Plus. That was my plan. I have 8 Atari 2600 systems. No, I haven't played...
I'm very excited to see where this is going.
I haven't played on an actual Atari 2600 in a while, because I don't really have a whole lot of need to do that, because I have an AV modded 7800, which plays all the 2600 games that I tend to play, and it's AV modded. So playing through RF on a 2600 itself is a silly novelty that doesn't really bring me anything. I can use my 2600's controllers in my 7800. Like, there is no real point for me to play on 2600 except for the novelty of it. So it's been a couple of years since I've actually played on an actual 2600, and none of them work. They worked a few years ago before I set them up on my shelves and stuff, but not a one of them works anymore. All 8 of them.
Huh.
And it took me a couple hours, I want to say at least 2 hours of my day today, was running technical difficulties through all of my various 2600s to see, like, well, is it the cord? Is it the TV? Is it the system itself? Like, what is it that's not working here? And I had to run through that on every single one of the systems. And I got a couple of them wouldn't turn on. A couple of them wouldn't play games. A couple of them, geez, what else? Getting like a crap ton of texts. Oh, it was $33 this one. And I'm running 2 things. Let's see. Did I get it? Did I get $33 on both platforms? Doesn't look like it so far. Let's see. I'm going to refresh this page. See what happens. I just won 20 cents on that one. Hold on. Let's see what's happening here. I want to see if I'm... Because I was doing it. I was doing the thing. I just got to wait and see. Still not reading right on this one. What about on my phone? Did I get it? Oh, I got it on one. All right, that's $33.91 on this one. And it still hasn't shown up on this other one. Oh, there it is. Oh, I did it. I got $33.91 on both of them. That was $68 I just won.
That's awesome.
And it cost me like maybe 60 cents. Good times. I love taking advantage of the system. Popped early, too. It's only $9.52. Good for me. And good for me. Anyway, where was I?
Good for you.
What was the last thing I said? The various 2600 systems, it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And it made me very sad. Some of them would power on, some of them wouldn't read games, some of them I just couldn't get a video signal out of it all. And the thing that made me particularly sad is that there's 2 of them. I'm pretty sure it's a Light Sixer and then my original system. And neither of those I could get to work properly. And if I could have just 2 2600s to work, it would be those 2. So I need to open those suckers up and get those 2 fixed. I want those 2 up and running as a part of my life. So, I'll get it. What are you going to do?
It's probably just as simple as cleaning, right? Like,
I would assume that there's probably some leaky capacitors, maybe. Again, I don't know a lot about it, but it's like they probably need some work. If I had to venture a guess, I know my 2600 Junior, my very first system, it's got power supply problems, as in like the port that the power supply plugs into is kind of wonky and loose. It probably needs to be resoldered, and that is, I would say, a little bit outside of my skill set. I mean, I could get my dad's soldering gun and give it a try, but I don't necessarily... I'm not confident in my soldering skills. That's not my forte, as the kids say.
Sure. I don't think those are so complicated, though, to where, like, you should feel unconfident about doing that.
Right.
Like, there's enough open space. Like,
yeah,
I've seen like 2600 like repair videos and that sort of stuff, and like, while I have no idea what any of that fucking shit is, like how it does what it does look like, oh, okay, I see how you, like, just this one little bit right here, and then,
So anyways, the bottom line is I have to use my 7800 for it, and I can't use my AV modded 7800 on this ancient TV, which made me very sad. So I did all that work for basically nothing. So I get to work on figuring out that I finally get to play the 2600 Plus. And this is a very strange little system.
Okay.
I put it through... The first thing I did to put it through its paces is I messed with the cartridge that comes with it, that multi-cart. and you choose which game it's going to play by futzing with the different dip switches on the back of it. So it's not like an actual multi-cart per se. It's like it has all the games in it, but you have to access them by changing dip switches on the back of the cartridge, which is a little odd.
Right. Right.
So I plugged that in, and it worked immediately. But what's different about this thing, as opposed to a 2600, is this thing has a startup loading time. When you put a cartridge into any regular Sista 2600 or 7800, as soon as you turn it on, game. Like, that's it. Instantaneously. Yeah. That's the game. There's no title screen. Well, 7800 games, some of them have title screens, but 2600 games, very, very few of them have title screens. And it's just
you're right there.
Press reset, and now you're playing. So putting a cartridge into the 2600 Plus, there's the Atari logo, and then it loads the game, and then you're good to go. Now, the first thing I did was Missile Command, and it looks stunning. Like, the colors are so vibrant, and that was the thing that I noticed straight away. Like, obviously, the straight lines are the straight lines. It's nice to see that in perfect clarity, but I've seen that before. You know, the Atari 50 has that and stuff. There's something very, very bright about the colors in this that just made me really, really happy. So that was pretty cool. And then the CX40 Plus that comes with it, the controller, it feels just like a brand new 2600 controller. So that's
which is awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I was very happy with that. Then I started moving on to other games, and it is very finicky about reading cartridges. It took me a lot more tries to get these cartridges to actually read in this system than I expected it to, because it's emulation based. So I figured once it recognizes what the game is, it's just kind of should do its thing. But I don't know enough about the way this thing works, because clearly that's not the case. Because if it reads it funky, then the game's going to look all glitchy and stuff, which is weird. So I plugged in my copy of Shoot Rocks, my Asteroids game that has Shoot Rocks written on it. That's hilarious. That game is beat to heck. Like, it is, it's filthy, it's disgusting. And I plugged it in and it worked just fine. I was like, okay, this is great. But then I plugged in my copy of Junior Pac-Man, and it took like 4 or 5 tries to get it to actually read the game, which is weird because when I plug it into my 7800, it's instant. And there's no futzing around with it. It reads it first time every time. So that was slightly concerning. And that made a lot of this process take a very long time, because every time you load up a new game, it has to do the loading process. And then if the loading fails, you got to go through the whole 10 to 15 seconds of it figuring its shit out before you play the game, as opposed to just swapping carts super, super fast. So that was kind of a pain in the ass, and I wasn't too crazy about that. But when it did work, it worked extremely well. So I started trying other controllers with it, and this is where things got really weird. Anything that I plugged into it that was designed to be an Atari 2600 controller, like I tried the Hyperkin Ranger and the Hyperkin Trooper, those worked just fine. Obviously, the CX40 Plus worked perfectly. But every single one of those was, a wired controller. And if you remember the original CX40s, they have very, very short cables. The CX40s Plus cable is maybe 10 inches longer.
Which is not enough.
It's really not enough. There is no sitting back and relaxing with this system. I was hoping that I'd be able to just put it on a shelf and then sit back on my couch and play games with it, but that's not an option. And the reason that's not an option is that it doesn't work with Sega Genesis controllers, which the original 2600 does. This one absolutely does not work with 2600 controllers. I tried a regular 3-button, a regular 6-button, the second model 6-button, and the Retrobit wireless 6-button. None of them work at all with the 2600 Plus, which is weird because it seems like it was some sort of intentional, we're going to block these things from working because we don't make them kind of a thing. It's the only thing that makes any sense to me.
That's a weird thing to, because that's kind of super cool. That the Genesis controllers work. That's just really a cool thing and it's kind of shitty that it doesn't.
Exactly, for a couple of reasons. Because one, there is no new 7800 controller. The only new controllers are the paddles and the CX40s. And those aren't 2-button controllers, which 7800 games, a lot of them require. So unless you have an original working 7800 controller, you can't use like a Genesis controller as a 2-button controller on these things. But here's where it gets extremely weird. On a lark, I plugged in a Master System controller, and that worked just fine.
That's super weird.
I don't know what is functionally different about, like, the signal coming from a Master System controller versus a Genesis controller. Like, the only reason I'm assuming
it doesn't seem like it should be.
This is a completely uneducated guess that the Genesis controllers are intentionally not usable with this system for some sort of reason, and they just never bothered to check a Master System controller. Like, that's the only thing that springs to mind. And I can't say with any degree of certainty that that's the case. I do not know the technical stuff. This is a complete guess on my part. But that's what seems to be the case. But the Master System controller only works as a single-button controller. It won't function as a 2-button controller on 7800 games. Like, the D-pad works, the 1-button works, but the 2nd-button doesn't do anything. It just, you press it and does nothing. So... that's super weird. Incredibly weird.
Wow.
Now, also,
that's super weird.
Because I'm me, like, well, I have wireless Atari 2600 controllers. Let's plug those bastards in and see how those work. And those don't work either. And I'm not sure if it's because of the way those things are powered or not. So, like, the old, the old Atari 2600 wireless controllers, like the big, thick bricks with the giant antennas on them. Those things, you had to plug the receiver into the system through its power supply. Like, you would take out the system's power supply, plug that into the receiver. You would plug that into the receiver, and then the receiver would then plug into the 2600. And you can't do that on the 2600 Plus because it doesn't have that kind of power input. It uses USB-C, which clearly didn't exist back in 1977.
Sure.
So,
I mean, it might have. You don't know. You weren't there.
It's true. I wasn't there. I don't know if it's... I tried just plugging in the receiver to the wall and then plugging the controllers into the system, and I couldn't get anything out of it. So I don't know if it's... I don't know if it's possible to get those to work, because it's not like they have, light up power switches or anything. I don't know what exactly the issue is, but it seems that those just are completely incompatible, at least as far as I can tell. So here's the problem is that there are no functioning control. There's no way to get a wireless controller up and running on this new 2600, which I think is extremely odd.
Yeah, that sucks. It's 2023. It's almost 2024, quite honestly.
Yeah, like, the whole point of this thing is, here's a modern way to play your classic Atari cartridges, which is super cool. But I know it doesn't work with flashcards, and that kind of stinks. But
and that's also intentional, right? Like, that's not a weird.
I think that's
like
just
that
a limit. I think that's just a limitation of the way this thing works, because you plug in a cartridge and it reads the cartridge and then emulates it. Flashcards, it's kind of like putting a flashcard into the like the Retron 5. It's just like, this is a square peg round hole. These things just do not work that way. The flashcards are designed to work on original hardware. This works intrinsically different from original hardware. So, yeah, that's just not going to work unless somebody figures out some sort of firmware update to make it work, which I'm not saying is impossible, because Atari owns Atari Age now, and Atari Age sells Atari flashcards.
A flashcard, yeah.
It's not like they have a problem with flashcards existing for their hardware.
Right.
It's just this thing doesn't do that. But the fact that there is no good way to sit back on your couch and play these things from a distance,
that sucks.
That does suck. That's a big blemish on this thing. And I did run into a couple of problems with... I felt that it was even more finicky with reading 7800 cartridges. In particular, Excuse you? What are you barking at? No one's talking to you. You settle down.
Listen, Hopper. Is that still his name, by the way?
As far as I can tell, yeah. Okay. We can't think of anything better because he literally hops all over the place. He's a weirdo.
He does. It's awesome. It's
what
great.
The hell was I talking about?
7800 finicky.
7800 finicky games. So those games seem to have a harder time loading than 2600 games, like just getting my 7800 games to function and then stay functioning. I had Asteroids up and running for a while. That was the game I tested the 2-button controls with. And then, I left it running, and I went over my computer, and 5 minutes later, it had crashed. It's like, well, this stinks. But I couldn't get my copy of Double Dragon to work in it at all. I have Double Dragon 7800. I plugged it into my 7800, and it immediately starts working. And Double Dragon is listed as one of the games that is verified compatible on Atari's official games list with this system, and my copy it won't read it. Even though it says it's compatible, that's a big fat nope. And that was that annoyed me as well. Not that I'm itching to play the 7800 version of Double Dragon all that much, but it would have been a nice game to test out the dual button controllers with, and I just could not make that thing work for the life of me. So I have to check it against the Retron 77 as far as how quickly does that load games. I didn't get around to doing that today because my phone battery died from taking the over an hour of footage I took to get all these games up and running while testing the thing. And I gotta say, when it works, it's really neat. I like the way it looks. It's not super tiny, but it's also not it's not as big as the original 2600. Sure. The switches on it are made of metal. They're nice. The system doesn't feel cheap. The controller's nice. I don't actually have any Genesis extension cables, so I haven't tried that yet as an option for sitting back and relaxing. I just don't know quite what to do with this thing because it's not really solving my problem with playing Atari games. I want to play it. If I want to sit back and play some Atari cartridges, I would do it on my 7800. But I would like to be able to do it,
or just play Atari 50.
Exactly. That's the thing. I'm probably going to wind up playing this stuff on Atari 50 more often than not. Except there's a handful of games. The games that I go to most on Atari 2600 aren't on Atari 50. Midnight Magic, California Games, Pitfall, Pitfall 2. None of that stuff's on Atari 50, and it's not going to never going to be on Atari 50. I like to boot up Pac-Man. I like to boot up E.T. Those are the games I played when I was a kid, and they're not going to make it onto that system. I didn't play Pac-Man on this yet today. That's a big swing and a miss for me. It works with paddles just fine. It just didn't occur to me. I played Circus Atari. I played Midnight Magic. I played Asteroids. I played Missile Command. I played Astro Blast. I played Frogger. Goodness, I can't remember. They're all sitting on my floor on the other side of the room, but they're all on the floor behind the couch, so I can't see them. I played a whole stack of games on it, and everything that I could get to work was great. But I don't really know. I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. I don't know where I'm going to put it.
Which is not what you want to hear.
No,
as a review. I don't know what to do with this thing.
Yeah, if there was a good way to set it up, if I could use the wireless Genesis controllers on it, I would probably, put it on I would probably take my PS3 off this shelf and put that there because I never use my PS3.
Right.
I have PS4, and this thing I don't even like to keep the PS3 plugged in because that's I don't know, freaks me out. It gets really warm. Because this is the old PS3, the original. The OG Lechonk PS3 that plays PS2 fat games, the extra fat, and I don't know, I don't trust this thing. And if I'm going to do most of what my PS3 does, my PS4 does. So that's kind of that.
Right.
Or I could take down my 360, which I also don't use. My Xbox One's upstairs. But that was the thing. If I could use the wireless Genesis controller, that'd be the ball game right there. Be okay, cool.
Right,
I'm just going to keep this plugged in. And every time I want to play Atari, I can simply just use this. But unless I have to test what's it the extension cables, because if Genesis extension cables don't work, that's also super weird. But
that's the end of it. Yeah,
I can't imagine why they wouldn't. They're just pass through cables. Like there's no electronics in those. You know what I mean? So I have to feel like those things would work. What annoys me about this thing, and I understand why they did it, but it also kind of annoys me. You know what? I'm going to go grab it. Hold on a second. I'm just going to walk across the room and grab this thing. Hold on. I'll be right back.
I am also going to grab it, but a different thing. That's what she said.
Okay, I'm back. So it's the adherence to the original design is, I think it's to a fault. Now, all the switches, they work exactly how you want them to. They have like a real nice resistance to them. My problem is that just like the original 2600, the controller ports are on the back. So no matter what you're doing, you're losing all that controller cable length that's dangling over the front of your system or like wrapping around behind it because the ports are in the back, which
sucks.
I guess it made some degree of sense back in the 70s, but there's a reason you put controller ports on the front, because you don't want you're just have cables dangling unnecessarily. So
it's not ideal.
I'm drinking water to try not to cough. The fact that they didn't do some sort of change on this thing to put the controller ports in the front, which is extra special crazy, because the way this thing is designed, just like the original 2600, you could have had the controller ports in the front without, you didn't need to put them in the wood grain section. There's underneath the wood grain section, there's like a little, like, I don't know, 1-inch platform that you could very easily put controller ports in. You could have put the controller ports in the front underneath here, and that would have been such a great design choice to have those move to the front instead of the back. Because not only that, but the controller ports, just like in the original 2600, the controller ports, the power, the HDMI, the difficulty switches, they're all on the back, but they're on the back part that's angled upwards. Right? So it's on like a 45-degree angle. Maybe not quite a 45-degree. I'm not going to get my protractor out, but you know what I mean. They're on this angle so that these cables are never hidden. They're sticking out of the back.
They're just always out.
The original 2600, the cables were not very intrusive. They weren't very big, but an HDMI cable has that HDMI port on it. And that's tall enough, a regular HDMI port, to kind of stick up over the back of this system every time it's plugged in. And the same goes for its power cable. Like, this whole thing, the wires are always visible. There's no way for this to look all that clean, which is a shame because the system itself is so cool looking. Like, it's almost the same size as the VCS. I did a size comparison there. And it looks really neat next to the VCS, but the VCS is so much more of a futuristic looking system, and having this there on this shelf would look real nice, but then you got to deal with all this extra cable length every time I want to play it, and that's really annoying to me. And like, it would be so nice to have this thing sitting on my shelf, and anytime I want to just play 2600 games, be able to do that without going through the process of hooking up my 7800. See, the reason I don't have my 7800 constantly hooked up is that the AV mod, the way Dean and his dad did the AV mod, is that the cables come out of the side, and the power supply is the power supply also comes out of the side, and the power supply is kind of loose, and it's not super attractive. It works very well, but it's not super attractive sitting in my little entertainment center there. So because it doesn't have any clean lines, I don't necessarily keep it hooked up all that often. So I only take it out whenever I want to play it. So I don't have just a regular, I want to play an Atari game, I'm going to plug this in and go situation on my old TV, which I would very much like to rectify. That said, this would have been a great way to rectify that without, putting it on the CRT. I could just have it on my HD TV. That would be nice and easy. But I don't have a wireless controller option, which is kind of obnoxious. So it's like, I see what this was for, and I can see how it's just so close. It's so almost a really awesome thing. Now, that said,
it's right there.
the the Hyperkin Trooper controller, that has a super long cable. So that solves some of my problem, but my big HD TV over here my couch is pretty far away, so even the Trooper doesn't have a long enough cable for me to sit all the way back and relax on my couch. But still, that is something. I'd prefer to use a CX40. I like that better than the Trooper, but, whatever. Nothing's perfect. So that's something. Yeah,
that's
the Troopers
so
are hard
odd
to find now. Hyperkin's been out of the Troopers for a while. I've been keep trying to reorder them for the site, and they've got plenty of the Ranger, and the Ranger is great, but the Ranger is like that kind of modern controller / paddle in one, whereas the Trooper is like, it's a 2-button version of the CX40, more or less. But they've been out of them forever, so I haven't been able to get any of those in stock. You can get a Trooper with a Retron 77, which is cool, but that's the thing. I don't know if this is necessarily better than the Retron 77. That's the next big comparison that I have to do. It's a much cooler looking system than the Retron 77, but the 77 is about half the size of this thing. The 77 does not do 7800, but the 7800 games, it only does 2600, but the 77 is also theoretically more easily upgradable because it has an SD card slot in the back. This one does not. Oh, that's another question. Hold on a sec. Gotta grab the instructions. Be right back. Someone was asking in the Discord if this thing is updatable because, the idea would be that they are going to work on firmware updates to make it, give it better compatibility with various other games that aren't compatible, or even other controller options. But there's no SD card slot on this thing. So the question was, how are you going to do firmware? Is it even going to be firmware updatable? And I think it has to be, because when I turn it on, there's a firmware number in the corner. Like, it specifically says, this is what version of firmware you're using. So there's got to be a way. And I would assume it's done through the USB-C slot that plugs the system in, which isn't I don't know, it's... excuse me, it's not the most convenient thing I've ever heard. As far as like, let's unplug the system and then bring it over to my computer to update it that way, but it's better than nothing, and it doesn't say anything about it on this instruction thing. It doesn't have an instruction manual. It has a quick guide, just a flat sheet of paper that says what's in here and where things go. So it just says USB power cable. It doesn't say anything, but there is a QR code. Let's see where it takes us, shall we? I'm going to scan this QR code with my phone. It's going to take me to Atari.com. It's going to take me to a specific page. No, it's just taking me to the 2600 plus. No, it's just taking me to Atari.com. What nonsense is this? How very dare you? You should be sending me to at least the page about... Ugh. All right, so there doesn't seem to be any firm information anywhere about how you could theoretically update this thing's firmware, but I feel like you've got to be able to, because it calls out which specific firmware you're using when you turn the system on. So, I don't know, man. This is weird stuff. It's a super weird system.
It's super weird.
And it's been a hell of a day. I spent hours today just fumbling through all these weird technical difficulties, trying to get this darn thing to function. And I wasn't able to do the last comparison. I wasn't able to do the side-by-side comparisons between this and the original hardware either. It's phone ran out of battery, ran out of time. I guess we'll see where it goes. But should be a pretty good video when I'm done making it.
Well, all right then.
Playing games this week?
I finished the first Portal, which is just so fucking good. It's so good. I don't know. Nobody's ever talked about that game. It's so wild. Yeah. Why has nobody ever mentioned it? Somebody should say something about Portal at some point.
At some point.
Yeah, no, it's so fucking good. And then immediately jumped into Portal 2. Playing through that. The new season of Marvel Snap started. So I've been playing that. I did open another Spotlight cache this week, and still no new card, even though there was the possibility of a new card that I didn't have yet. So we are still looking at September 14th is the last time I got a new card that I didn't buy. So feels bad, man. It's not I know I know law of averages and there's millions of people that play the game, and I just happen to be on the low end of the bell curve currently and all of those things. But like, it's so funny because I had mentioned before, like Rumblemans is playing and he's opened every card like within one or two keys every single time. And this week I didn't actually even want Man-Thing. Not Swamp Thing, that's DC. Man-Thing. I didn't even necessarily want the card I didn't have, but I was like, all right, well, there's a really fucking cool Jeff the Baby Land Shark variant this week. Like, an amazing, it's like the art is so good on it. And I was like, all right, so I've got a 50-50 shot of being happy, and even probably a little bit more than that, because there's a bunch of cards that I'm missing now. So if I get like just one of the random series cards that's not featured, like I'm pretty happy overall with any of these choices. And what I opened was a duplicate of a card I had already, so another 1,000 tokens, which is not enough. It's fine. It's whatever. But I posted in the little Discord we have for Snap, and Rumblemans replied with, "Well, I really like that Jeff variant. I'm going to give it a shot." And fucking one opening, and he sends me a screenshot, and it's the fucking Jeff variant, which
of course,
which I even sent him the message. I was like, "You're going to get it on the first key. Like, I don't even know why you're acting like you're not going to fucking get it." First fucking one. I was like, God damn it. We could not be any more opposite as far as like RNG bell curve is concerned at the moment. It is fucking crazy. And I actually, because we had said like, all right, well, I'm just going to, every time I get a key, I'm just going to open it. I'm not going to save them, but I can't do it anymore. I just can't. I gotta start saving these fucking things for cards I actually want. It is weird to me how they are doing these spotlights, where they release the one new card a week, which is featured in the spotlight, and then two other cards that are either Series 4, Series 5 cards. And if you already have them, there's, like usually pretty cool variants of them or whatever. There are so many cards that have repeated so far, while other cards have only made one appearance or no appearances. And it's very odd the way that it's like, okay, because there was just a Jeff spotlight like 4 weeks ago, something like that. But they released a brand new card about a month ago, Gladiator, that one with the data mining, because every time they do a big update, there's like 2 months worth of content that comes in with the update, and people go in and data mine and post about it and whatever. Gladiator is not, there's information out on what's going to be available all the way up until the end of January, like the very last week of January, what the cards are. Gladiator's still not running back. So it's like, you're featuring these cards over and over and over again, and these brand new cards are not getting featured. It's very strange. It's very odd. I still really like it. I still really enjoy it, but it's, I don't know. It's weird. I'm trying to think if I've played anything other than that. My headphones are doing a really weird thing. It's very hard to pay attention to what I'm saying and what you're saying. So if I sound weird, that's why. It's because my headphones keep like clicking in and out. They're these really nice like Bose headphones. I don't know if the batteries are dying. It's certainly possible. Anyway, that's it. That's what I got.
Okay. Well, I had a pretty interesting week for games. So last week's video that's going up on Monday was I decided to do a look back on how do I feel about my VCS a year and change later. And I wound up just for funsies, I broke down and I threw the $10 at Berzerk Recharged on VCS. And I gotta say, I kind of love it. It's really cool. It is a bit different from Berzerk. I think I understand why there are some folks out there that really don't like it, because it is similar to how Yars Recharged is pretty different from Yars Revenge. Like, it builds a different game on the bones of that one. That's really how Berzerk works too. It's building a different kind of game on the bones of Berzerk.
Okay.
It is a twin stick shooter now.
Okay.
Right for the modern age. You move and shoot in different directions, similar to like Robotron. Except you actually have to physically shoot. Like, your right analog stick doesn't automatically make you shoot. Your right analog stick just aims, and then you still have to shoot with the trigger button. Your main character, I don't like the way he looks. Overall, I think I do like the way the game looks. I like the way the robots look. But your main dude, he moves around kind of lanky and goofy, really similar to the Caretaker in Atari Mania, which it just kind of seems to stick out like a sore thumb. I do wish that they had done something a little more abstract with your character, just to kind of make it match the rest of the Recharged series and this game in particular. The fact that he's as lanky and kind of goofy as he is, it just kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. And it's also strange that the walls don't kill you, because that was kind of a thing in the original game. You'd walk up to a wall and you'd just get zapped to death, and the walls don't do any damage to you. They're just walls in this one. So those are the...
Kris, time out for 1 second. I have to go try and get some other batteries. I can't even hear you anymore.
Okay.
Hold on a sec. All right, hold on.
All right, so what the hell was I talking about? It was Berzerk. I was talking about Berzerk.
Berzerk, twin stick Berzerk, shooting with the trigger, and not, even though it's a twin stick shooter, not shooting. That's weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's not really all that bothersome. It's just like, after a few minutes, it's like, well, what's the point of it just not being constantly shooting? Like, why do I not want to shoot? But I guess I haven't played enough of it to know that for sure. There's robots just like in the original game. And then there's also like gun turrets and stuff, and they move around. It's neat. It talks to you similar to the arcade game. I like the way it looks. I don't like the way the main character looks. However, I love what they did with the evil Otto. I didn't think I was going to. When I watched the trailer for this game, I thought, I don't know about that. The Otto looks okay, but seeing him in the game is fucking wonderful. So in any room that you're in, there's a countdown on one of the doors. Once the countdown reaches 0, the evil Otto shows up, which, if you're unfamiliar with Berzerk, the evil Otto is a bouncing smiley face that insta-kills you.
It's the best thing ever.
And, like, so he's not 3D, but he's kind of three-dimensional. He's not just a flat smiley face that's constantly staring at the screen. He's looking for you. When he comes out of the door, he's angry. So, like, it's this angry face that's following you, but as soon as he sees you, he gets this big dopey smile on his face and bounces towards you to murder you. It's fucking
Which
great.
Is great.
I love it. I love him so much. And I have to say, I was just having an absolute blast with the game. So I played that for the first time on the video that I was working on for next week, which was pretty cool. I'm booting up my VCS right now because I wanted to check what the name of this freaking mission is. Because the other thing that I did was I was playing this mission I've been stuck on in Yars Recharged for months, and I put like 5 or 6 more tries into it, and I just cannot beat this stage. But the thing is that these games are not very popular, so nobody's made like YouTube videos of themselves beating it, because I feel like there's got to be a strategy somewhere that I'm just not getting. There's like, I've been able to do every other stage. There's 2 left. It's called Wingman, and while you were looking for come on, where are you? Were you looking for headphones? I was looking to see if I could find some sort of strategy on this. Wingman. Ah, look at this. There's Wingman Strat. Oh, this is wonderful. Somebody has figured out this stage, and there's 2 videos of people beating this stage. Oh, I'm very excited. All right, that makes me super happy. So I will be able to figure out. I'm going to watch these strategies. I'm going to see if I can actually pull off beating this, because I have that and the stage after it, and that's it. Then I'm done. I've beaten all the challenges in the game, and God, I love Yars Recharged. This game is so freaking fun. Even losing on this stage over and over again, it's just such a freaking fun game. I'm glad I rebought it on Switch. However, just earlier today, they started taking pre-orders on. Where is that? I had it open a minute ago. Oh, why did I close that out to open a YouTube like some sort of goofball? Is that what I did? Yeah. All right. So, Limited Run has they posted today that they are taking pre-orders on the Atari Recharged Collections 3 and 4. And these bother the shit out of me. Because these games are, I think they're $10 a piece on Switch.
Right.
Let's double check that. I'm pretty sure that's the case, but let's just say Berzerk Recharged. Berzerk Recharged, yeah, they're $10 a piece on Switch. These physical cartridges have 2 games on them, and they're $35 a piece.
I like that.
I don't like that either. So I passed on Recharge Collection 1 and 2 because I like those games, but like Collection 1 is Breakout and Asteroids, and I love the idea of Breakout, but it doesn't control particularly well anywhere. I guess I would like to try that one on Switch with the touchscreen. Maybe that would help, but like without a proper spinner controller. That's why I bought it on the VCS, but I don't like the spinner on the classic controller is just garbage. So I can't play that game well. So I just don't spend a lot of time with it. And Asteroids Recharged is pretty cool. I haven't actually played much of that one because I don't own it anywhere. I've like watched video of it. So that's Volume 1. It's like, all right, I don't know about $35 on that. Volume 2 is Centipede and Black Widow. Black Widow is fucking great. Black Widow Recharged is really, really good. I don't go back to it all that often, but it is really good. And Centipede Recharged is also, the arcade mode is what it is, but the challenge mode is really fun on Centipede Recharged. I like that one. But again, $35 for those 2 games seemed like a lot.
That's steep.
That's steep. Now, Atari Recharge Collection 3... 4 is, the new Missile Command and Gravitar. I haven't played the new version of Missile Command Recharged, but I have played a bunch of Gravitar Recharged. That is a really neat game. Again, not $35. But Collection 3 is Yars and Caverns of Mars, which are my 2 favorite ones of these games.
Right.
I don't know, man. $35 after I've already bought these games on both Switch and VCS.
That's a bit much, man. That's
a bit much. I really want a physical version of Yars Recharged because I really, really love that game. It just makes me so happy to play that game. And having a physical cartridge of it would be a really nice thing. And Caverns of Mars Recharged is also great. I play that one a lot. I only have that on VCS. If I didn't already buy Yars Recharged at full price on the Switch, I would be considering this a lot more. But again, it's $35 for Yars Recharged, Caverns of Mars. It seems ridiculous that there's only 2 of these games per cartridge. It
does. It's a bit of an ask.
It is a bit of an ask. $35. And it's like, do I just buy Collection 3? Like, that's not going to work in my brain. Like, on one hand, sure, that's the only one that I'm actually genuinely considering spending the money on, because out of all those games, Yars is the one that I'm like, I love this game. The rest of these I think are super cool, but Yars, that's one of my, it's so good. It's so good. I love it. But then I would have just Volume 3. And that doesn't feel right to me. Because, I'm a crazy person, so
you are indeed. Can't have that.
But then, if I wanted to get all 4 of these, What am I spending like $150 on recharged games? No.
On games that you already have?
On games that I already have and that I'm not going to go back and play very often. Like Black Widow, I play from time to time. But like, I don't think Atari's going to take my digital goods away on my VCS. I don't think they would ever care enough to.
Probably not, but
probably you can't say that for sure anymore. But it seems unlikely that they're going to reach into anyone's VCS and be like, "All right, you can't have these games we 100% own anymore." That's just doesn't seem like a likely scenario.
It does not. It does not.
Still,
indeed.
Having them physically, I like physical games, and I would love to have the recharge games. And like, if there was 4 of them per card, or even 3 of them per game, right? $35 gets you 3 of them. Like, all right, it's $5 more to have them on the physical cart. I get that, but you're not saving anything by buying these. These are more than twice as expensive as buying them on their own digitally.
Right.
Yeah.
It's expensive. It's expensive for what it is. It's unnecessarily expensive for what it is.
I concur. Over on the Switch, so Berzerk Recharged is freaking great. I like it. I can't wait to spend more time with it. Over on the Switch, I played a little bit more Mario RPG. I am on World 5 in Super Mario Bros. 3 in my 2D Mario playthroughs, which I'm still pecking away at. I think I mentioned it last week. I didn't realize how big of a deal it was. Karen had brought the Suika Game to my attention, right? That fruit puzzle game I talked about?
Yeah.
Apparently this game is a fucking phenomenon.
Really?
In Japan, it's apparently like insane. Last week, it was the #1 selling Switch game in Europe, like beating out Mario Wonder.
No shit.
Like, it knocked Mario Wonder off the top spot. Okay. Karen's been playing it pretty much. She's been playing it pretty much nonstop. I've played it a couple more times. It seems like the ultimate goal is to make a watermelon, which I've done twice. And like, apparently that's a pretty hard thing to do. I don't know. Karen finally made her watermelon today. Congratulations. It's a fun game. It's, the music it kind of makes me want to claw my ears out.
Sure.
Because it just keeps going. Like, it's not quite as catchy as like the Bubble Bobble theme. It's just like this really generic, peaceful music, sort of goofy. I don't know. This is a weird game, but it's fun. It's $5. It's, matching fruit. It's a really simple concept that I can't believe I haven't seen before. As far as like not really falling block puzzles because everything's circular, but it's like, this just seems like such an obvious idea. And like, it's got elements of like Puzzle Fighter in it where like you kind of combine things to make bigger gems and then you blow them up. This isn't, there's just the whole combining things aspect, but it's like, you really got to think ahead with what you're doing in this. Cause like, it just drops all these random fruits on it. It's like, all right, well, I got this strawberry. Oh, there's a strawberry over there. If I put those together, it'll make a thing. Or if they make a thing over there, there's going to be a bunch of stuff in between them. So I want to build something over in this direction. I don't know. It's a weird game. It's neat. If you like puzzle games, give it a try and then put it on mute and listen to something better. Because it's not like there's any sound effects or anything that are worth your time. So yeah.
Just put it on mute. This shit sucks.
Suika Game. Suika. Apparently it's really big in Europe and Japan. And that's what I've been playing. Hell of a week. Anyway, speaking of a week,
I had Tiff bring me down some ibuprofen so I can actually like fucking concentrate and focus now.
Good plan.
Holy shit.
Take all the drugs.
Well, see, the thing is, Chris, is that I don't want to continue to take as much ibuprofen as I have to. I have to go back to the fucking doctor, Chris, and I don't want to.
Right.
That's what we come down to. That's where we're at.
Yeah,
I've been to the doctor too much
I meant to mention
this
that
year.
before. I meant to mention that before. I am also very sore because of dog. But, like, that's just because this guy is putting me through my paces. Like, walking him is awesome. I'm thankful for the amount of exercise, but I am very sore. Like, all of me is sore because I didn't stop doing the other exercises I was doing, like the push-ups and the sit-ups and everything. I still do that every day, but I'm also now walking him every day, and walking him is an aerobic activity. I stopped running because my knees told me I needed to. But like, my legs and my hips and everything, they still hurt from, like, I'm not running, but I'm not walking either. It's like I'm walking as fast. Like, I'm power walking to keep up with this dog. And we're starting to, get a good rhythm while we're out there. He's not pulling me quite as much, but he still moves around a lot, which is a lot of pulling and tugging on my shoulders and upper body stuff going on. So I'm sore from the neck down, and I'm so much more tired because I'm doing so much more exercise every day, which is great. Eventually, I'm going to get used to it and get stronger and all that stuff. But it's like, boy, I'm sore. This dog's a lot of dog. He dogs hard. Yeah. And he's really inspired it in Naga. He really has inspired my giant loaf of a dog. They play together. Usually about once a day, properly playing together, and Naga gets into it and jumps around and stuff. And when she goes for a walk, she goes for a walk now. She's getting better every day, getting a little bit more exercise, and maybe she won't be a completely morbidly obese loaf of dog anymore because she's such a fat dog. But she's moving around. She's moving around a lot more. I love it.
Well, that's the thing that that I'm so what's so frustrating about what is happening in my shoulder is that it's counted, like, to fix it I have to not use it. It's not a thing where, like, continued use will strengthen it and make it better, and stretching it and all of, like, I have to just not. It's my fucking left arm. I can't. My right arm, you could cut my right arm off, and I don't know that I would notice, other than I would just fit better through doorways. Like, that is how fucking useless my right arm is to me. I do love my right arm, don't get me wrong. I do need it to, like, hold my phone at times, but, like, everything I do is with my fucking left. I just don't know how to rest it, I can't. I tried fucking eating with my right hand yesterday. I was like a fucking toddler, Chris, like dribbling food all over my fucking plate. I was like, now it was spaghetti, which probably wasn't the best thing to start with, but fuck, man. I was just, God damn it. I just don't want to go back. Anyway, I'll shut up. I'll stop bitching about my arm.
Because it's time for week-old news.
Oh, sorry, I probably just fucking said something over the... I do over the fucking music. Over the bed. Sorry, I'm professional.
So, week-old news. It was a week for news.
It was. It was a lot.
Yeah, there was a lot. Probably the biggest news was that the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer was leaked ahead of time. And because nothing can stay secret anymore, everybody needs that internet clout. I found the thing, haha. Like,
got it.
Wait a day. Let them have this.
Let's just have it. Like,
Push Square.
Yeah.
And I know I've had this argument with people online, like, no, it's news. They should be able to say. It's like, no, it's not news. This is the thing they've been working on, and this is how they want you to see it first. They want to see it at this time. They want to be able to be a part of the narrative. They don't want it to be swooped out from underneath them and then popped online with watermarks all over it. Like, that's...
Yeah.
I don't like Rockstar all that much. I don't love these games, but this...
No!
There's an interview with somebody on Push Square. The headline is GTA 6 dev laments unfortunate trailer leak. Quote, "This fucking sucks. We deserved that moment." And you know what? They did. They've been working on this for a long time. The team's been working on this for a long time, and they wanted the trailer to come out at this time. Like, they should be able to control the narrative of when their art gets shown. And that's kind of how I feel about a lot of these. Like, everyone talks about, like, no, these leaks out of Nintendo spoiled their whole E3. I got it. I got them. I got all this stuff. It's all here on the internet. Like, well, all the people who worked on these games, who worked on these trailers, they didn't want this done like that. They wanted it to. No. They wanted to show it off on their terms, and you stole that from them for internet clout.
Right.
Fuck you. I think that's shitty. And what Ryan Reynolds just went on the whole thing about Deadpool, right? Because there was a bunch of set photos leaked on Deadpool 3, and he's like, "Yeah, here's a bunch of fake ones."
Stop it.
That's kind of funny. But it's like, stop it. We're working hard on this movie so that everyone can, have that fun discovery in the theater instead of knowing everything ahead of time because some jackass took a bunch of pictures and posted online. See, I know things. Look at me. I'm so great. Internet clout's the best. Like, no, fuck off. Let people enjoy things. Like, yeah, not everything needs to be spoiled ahead of time for the sake of you getting internet clout. I hate that shit. Like, anyway, Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer came out. I didn't watch it yet. Did you watch it?
I did.
Did it fucking
it looked like fucking Grand Theft Auto. It looked like maybe like going back to Vice City.
Yeah, you're going back to Vice City. I read about it. Apparently it made the Tom Petty song super popular on like Spotify or something.
That's great. Tom Petty, like, not with us anymore, which fucking breaks my heart, but like,
breaks heart. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
See what I did there? Yeah, no, it was subtle, but I was hoping it was going to get there. It looked like, man, if you like Grand Theft Auto, this was right there for you. This was fucking perfect.
This definitely. I like that they're leaning into the Florida Man stuff. I don't know. This is it's goofy. It looks like it looks like a more powerful modern take on Grand Theft Auto. They still move all weird and shit, but also
it still looks like a Rockstar game. Which
still looks like something I have zero interest in playing.
Yep.
But you know what? It's going to make all of the money. It's going to make $90 bajillion, just like GTA 5 did.
And good for them.
Yeah, good for them. It just sucks that it leaked ahead of time. I even as somebody who's not a fan, even I was upset for the people who put the time and the effort into it to have their work just like undermined like that. That just blows.
Yeah.
Time Extension posted about a legendary lost Game Boy demo that Argonaut pitched to Nintendo has been found. This, I believe, is the game that eventually became X, which led to Star Fox for Super NES. Video Game History Foundation posted on Twitter, "We found an incredibly important prototype for Nintendo's history. Eclipse is the demo that not only sold Nintendo on 3D, but ultimately led to their first marquee 3D title, Star Fox." The full story here. So that's neat. You always love to hear it when things like that happen. It's an important chunk of video game history, preserved for all time. Huzzah.
It's very cool.
The Atari 50 update also went live. I know we were talking about that last week in Week Old News.
The
update did go live. Let me see the list of games, because it was a couple days ago and there was 12 of them and I don't remember what they all are.
How dare you, fucking prick.
Free holiday content update. You just absolutely love it. And it was a good list of games too. We got Bowling, Circus Atari, which was already on Atari 50 on VCS. Now it's on everything. Double Dunk, Maze Craze, Miniature Golf, hell yeah, Moto Rodeo,
that's
Super
awesome.
Football, Aquaventure, Save Mary, Adventure 2. Aquaventure and Save Mary were prototypes. Adventure 2 is a 2600 homebrew. Return to Haunted House is a 2600 homebrew. And Warbirds for Atari Lynx, which is like a really impressive visual showcase for the Atari Lynx. That's awesome. And there's theoretically more to come as well. They said there's going to be other updates coming to Atari 50, which is just absolutely wild. This is a great lineup of games. Like, Bowling for 2600 is more fun than it looks. Circus Atari is it's one of my go-to Atari games, especially with the like that one has the, I believe, the touchscreen controls on the Switch. Double Dunk I haven't played. Maze Craze is great. Miniature Golf is great. Ferg turned me onto that one. Super Football is a really interesting game because it's like a much, much better take on football than just regular 2600 football. I haven't played Aquaventure or Save Mary. I heard those are great. I haven't had a chance to mess with them yet. Same with Adventure 2, Adventure 2 was a homebrew on 5200, and this is like a 2600 downport of that, which is kind of neat.
That's kind of weird.
With Train to Haunted House, and Warbirds I haven't tried yet. So, but I played around with a couple of these games. I'm looking forward to spending more time with them. The update went through just fine on both my VCS and the Switch, and that is an awesome, awesome thing. So I guess we have to talk about the Game Awards now.
We do.
Did you watch them?
Most of them, I think. I don't know. Like, at least an hour and a half, 2 hours, I think.
I did not.
I didn't hate it. I really, like... I think the Game Awards are fucking stupid for most of the time. Because they just do, like we've talked about before, it's mostly just trailers.
Yeah, in fact, they were pretty aggressive about. It was worse this year than any other year as far as skipping over awards. A bunch of important awards were given before the show even started. They rapid fired them faster than ever in between trailers, and the people who actually did get to go on stage to receive awards had 30 seconds before they were played off.
Yeah.
Like, it was, and like that was viewers and the actual creators were both complaining about that today. That it's just ridiculous. And I think it was Kotaku that posted an article that said they should just drop the pretense and call it Winter E3, because that's what this is. That the awards are so barely a part of this that the whole point is just to show off trailers, which is kind of stupid. If you're going to do awards, you're going to take it. If you're going to try and convince us that you're taking this seriously, then do it. Then take it seriously. Or just do what you're there to do, which is to make a bunch of money selling ad space for trailers.
Yeah, it's a weird show. It's a weird show. I didn't hate it, though. Like, honestly, watching through it, like, I didn't hate it because I don't necessarily care about award shows. You know what I mean? Like, I suppose it's nice to be rewarded for your work and whatnot, but at the same time, like, I don't, like, you look at the like, what, I didn't play Baldur's Gate 3. There's nothing, because it's just, for me, it's different with video games, I guess, because if a movie wins Best Picture and I didn't see the movie, I'll be like, all right, well, I might watch that movie. Maybe there's something I missed, because that's 2 hours of my day to check out the thing that won the award, right? Whereas with the Game Awards, I am not interested in Baldur's Gate 3. The fact that it won Game of the Year means absolutely nothing to me, because I'm not going to play it. Because in order to figure out whether or not that game was worth the Game of the Year, do I agree? You know, because that's ultimately, I think, what we do with award shows. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong in my assumption there. But I think ultimately a lot of us are like, we watch award shows and shit, and we're like, nope, I disagree. Nope, completely not. Shakespeare in Love was definitely not, well, and Shakespeare in Love, that's a bad example. That's the one I always go back to, though. Shakespeare in Love was definitely not the best picture that came out that year, because fucking Shawshank did. So, fuck directly off. But, you know, like, we watch for confirmation bias or to argue with the ether, right? So
I think some award shows are pretty interesting, but as far as movies are concerned, but when it comes to the Game Awards, I find every single aspect of it incredibly suspicious. Like, they're incredibly suspect. The music category? Tears of the Kingdom? What? How many games did you take into consideration? Tears of the Kingdom barely had music. Like, I'm not saying it has a tiny soundtrack, but it's not like there's a lot of, like, real music going on in that. There wasn't a whole lot of, like, really impressive compositions in Tears of the Kingdom. And I love that you're talking to Zelda fan here, right? No, that's not
Right.
one of the games that goes up for best music of the year. It simply isn't. So where did that how much did they actually put into these categories? Like, how much thought did they put into these nominations? And I don't think it was very much, because I don't think they took a whole lot of games into consideration, which I think is a just terrible disservice to the entire concept of putting an award show together that you're supposed to be trying to take seriously. And when it comes to the game of the year, when I heard that Baldur's Gate 3 won, I was like, oh, that's kind of a surprise. And then I read that there was an exclusive announcement at the Game Awards that Baldur's Gate 3 is now available on Xbox. And I cannot not wonder if there was a deal with Jeff Keighley to make that Game of the Year is now available on Xbox Series X. We're announcing it here at the same time we're announcing that it's Game of the Year. That just smells fucking fishy to me. Now, if I had any respect for this institution in the first place, that they had done their due diligence and that these were anything other than super shallow marketing attempts, like the indie game category, that they were just like, yeah, sure, they're indie games. Like, no, pixel art games aren't all indie games. They just aren't. Like, if you're going to make an indie category, the fact that it's a smaller category is because they're smaller studios. They don't have the funding of major studios. That's what makes that category different. Just like indie movies, they don't have the budgets, so that it feels like a whole different category. And their response to that all outcry was like, whatever, we think this works. Okay. So, I mean, you're not putting anything serious into this, but you're expecting us to take you seriously? But fuck right off with that nonsense. So, of course, I don't trust that Baldur's Gate 3 actually deserved to be Game of the Year and wasn't just a ploy to sell a bunch of copies of Baldur's Gate 3 on Xbox, because you're announcing it on this gigantic stage that, oh, look at this coincidence. This game that we just announced exclusively here on the Game Awards is coming to Xbox today. This is Game of the Year. Look at that. You should go buy it and give us money. It just seems so gross to me. And
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't take it that way at all. I just don't. I just don't care. I enjoy the trailers. I think, like, Anthony Mackie was super funny when he came up there, and super awkward and weird, and like, it's, I don't know. I just don't care. Katie watched it with us. Penn was really upset that Cocoon beat Pizza Tower for debut indie game of the year. She was really fucking bummed out about that. But Katie, like, audibly cheered, mostly because she talks through everything, because that's just who she is. But she, like, audibly cheered and got very excited when Pikmin won whatever category it won.
It was like a strategy game. That was a hell of a category. It was up. What was it? That Advance Wars. Like, there was a couple of, like, it's like, oh, that's actually a pretty contested category this year. Who knew? All right,
we
so let's
did.
go.
We talked about it last year.
Yeah,
we talked about it on our preview show with Pikmin and Armored Core and fucking all of that shit. We knew. Jeff didn't call us, though. I think ultimately the last thing I just wanted...
If you're going to make it this show, then make it that show. Don't try to wrap it up in this phony awards nonsense. Just make it a fun show. Make it Winter E3, because that's all anyone's there for. If you're not going to give anybody time to care about, and you're not going to care about putting the effort into making the awards the important part of this, you're not there to celebrate the games industry. Stop fucking pretending you are. It's pretentious, it's obnoxious, and it's completely disingenuous. You are not there to celebrate the game industry. You are there to sell ad space, you hollow shill. So just do that, because that's great. I love hollow
shilling. Stuff can be two things.
Yes, but this clearly isn't two things.
The last thing that I will just about this aspect of it is that while I don't necessarily disagree with the points that you have made, nobody else is doing this, though. Like, yes, it may suck that it's this version of whatever, but there is nobody else is doing any semblance of an award show. So, like, until somebody steps up and competes. Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, nobody else is doing this sort of thing.
The AIAS
so until somebody steps up and
forever.
competes,
like,
you know,
that's just
he doesn't need
to. But they don't need the awards part of it either, because they clearly don't give a shit about the awards. Nobody watching it cares about the awards. They don't put any effort into the awards. Like, it's just this, here's a quick little online popularity contest so that we can sell more ad space to these things. Like, if they just dropped the awards part of it and just focused on the fact that they're selling trailers, then the show you wouldn't have to be wasting time with the 30 seconds in between. Oh, and here's best strategy game, and here's best family game, and here's best traveling game, and here's best music, and now here's 15 minutes of Hideo Kojima doing something weird. Let's watch.
Oh, how dare you! How dare you! Here's 15 minutes of Hideo Kojima convincing me to buy a fucking Xbox, because that's what happened last night.
All right, let's talk about the actual announcements. I'm looking through IGN's list here. Capcom announces Monster Hunter Wilds coming 2025. Big shock, there's a new Monster Hunter game in development. Monster Hunter Rise sold over 10 million. There's always going to be a new Monster Hunter game. I'm sure it looks great. Congratulations.
It does. It looked really cool. It looked really it just looked really fucking cool.
Hideo Kojima officially reveals Xbox project now titled OD. I have not watched this yet. I am watching it right now.
It's absurd. It is. I don't fucking know what it's gonna be. But I do know that at the end of it, and I don't know if this is going to be in your trailer, so I'm just going to tell you. At the end of it, one of the collaborators that he's working with, not the only one, but one of the collaborators that Kojima is working with on this one, Jordan Peele, came out on stage, and I was like, holy fucking shit, like, I'm even more in now. Like, I was already in. Like, you already had me. But the fact that, like, you're collaborating with Jordan Peele, who I think does really interesting work, I just fuck, dude, I don't care what this is. It doesn't matter. Tiff got real mad when Kojima came out on stage, though. She was like, why is everybody on this dude's dick so hard? I was like, because it's a beautiful dick, hon. That's fucking why.
You tell Tiff I'm 100% with her. I don't want anything. I don't want anything to do. Well, I don't know what they just talk about purple dinosaurs angrily at the screen.
I know, it's so weird. I don't fucking care. Udo Kier, love that guy. Jordan Peele's involved. I could not. But like, legitimately, I typed it in our Discord last night while I was watching it. I am going to get an Xbox. This was the thing to push me over the edge to get an Xbox and Games Pass. This was it. An exclusive Kojima game. Okay, done.
Well, they sold you all right.
They did. That was what they needed to do.
Let's see. God of War Ragnarok's getting free DLC next week.
Which is awesome. I'm very excited to jump back into that. The game's fucking
Marvel's
great.
Blade is in development at Arcane Studios.
But what is interesting about that is that they are a Bethesda-owned, which means they are a Microsoft-owned studio, and they were asked whether or not Blade is console exclusive to Xbox, and the response that they were given was no comment.
Well, you know,
which I
Microsoft is on that train of like, I don't care where we get our money from as long as we're getting paid. So it does.
We need it because did we see the story where they lost over $1 billion on Games Pass this year?
I didn't.
Did we see that?
I don't. We didn't talk about that, but yeah.
It's some absurd number that they lost. Like, I forget where I read it. Kotaku, Polygon, whatever the fuck it was. Where they are like, as they are trying to sell that service, they are hemorrhaging money. Now, the fact that they can hemorrhage that amount of money and still buy Activision tells you how much money they have. which is disgusting. But yeah,
Christ.
I don't think, honestly, truly, I don't think there is going to be a follow-up to the series. I think this is Microsoft's last console. That is my prediction.
Yeah,
They're just going to let...
Maybe.
I
like making
think
hardware.
if...
They're Microsoft.
I
they
think
like making
if...
stuff.
No, sure, but I really think if the Switch is powerful enough to run most of what Games Pass offers, and the PlayStation 6 whatever it is, you know, because we're still like, I think there will probably be like the pro revision of it, but I just don't there's so much focus on Games Pass and PC Games Pass and all of that. Why make a console? Why do it?
For the lulls? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
For poops and giggles? I don't know. Microsoft, because they fucking want to. Because they want to.
Yeah, I mean, but just to sell it in America?
Yeah, I don't know. They think
because it doesn't sell in Japan. Like, it just
really
doesn't.
It does not.
I you know, like, this isn't me being shitty or tribalistic. Like, I am saying that there are a lot of Microsoft games that I am interested in. This fucking OD shit is what pushed me over the edge to get it, but like, I'm kind of excited about the possibility of getting a series, whatever digital thing I get, because I don't think I'll get the one that has physical discs for that in particular, because I'm going to get the Xbox and Games Pass. Like, that's what I'm going to do. So, anyway. Blade.
Anyways.
Fuck it. That's awesome. Blade's great.
Yeah.
I love Blade.
Hooray. More Blade, more Marvel games. Keep them coming. This was the announcement here that really got my genes steaming. This was Sega announces 5 new games in development. They're making new iterations of Jet Set Radio, Shinobi, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Crazy Taxi, and more. But we only saw those 5. I must
Shinobi
say,
amazing.
Every single one of them looks like a winner. They said that they're trying to aim for that Dreamcast vibe, which I love. This silly ass ad was ridiculous. With them,
it was so good with him yelling Sega at the end.
Yeah,
it was so good.
Yeah. They really are.
It was perfect.
Sega theoretically firing on all cylinders. I like the sound of that. I want to see. This is exactly what they've talked about this for a while. They wanted to do more with their legacy brands, and everyone's like, "Yeah, you think you should do more with your legacy brands? Because now, could you please? We've been begging for decades for more than Sonic." Jet Set Radio looks wild. I think it looks really cool. Shinobi looks incredible. That's that I think is Lizard Cube. Nobody's officially said that, but Lizard Cube made some sort of post on Twitter.
Lizard Cube.
It does. It looks like their thing. This Streets of Rage game looks interesting. It's all 3D. Yeah, Shinobi looks incredible. What's this one? Golden Axe? I don't know, man.
Yeah, that looks
Golden
wild
Axe
as
looks
shit.
pretty rad. I like
I'm into it.
The last time they did Golden Axe in 3D, it did not go well at all.
It did not, no.
Beast Rider or something. Oh, it was
God,
garbage.
it was real bad.
And Crazy Taxi. I love Crazy Taxi.
Yeah, like Crazy Taxi was the one I was the least interested in. Not because I don't like Crazy Taxi, but because I like Crazy Taxi for 10 minutes.
Oh, I played way too much Crazy Taxi on Dreamcast.
Okay, it's
way
fun.
Too much.
It just never really hooked me the way it hooked a lot of other people. Like, and I totally get that that's a me thing. But when the and more part is like, can we please have a fucking Comic Zone that works? Oh, I just can only imagine what a Comic Zone, like a current, interesting, creative Comic Zone. You've got Toe Jam and Earl, possibility. You've got fucking.
We just had Toe Jam and Earl. We also just had.
Well,
Streets
I know,
of Rage.
but we also just had Streets of Rage.
I also don't know how much Sega owns Toe Jam and Earl anymore.
That's fair.
I think that might actually be
Kid
owned
Chameleon?
by the creators.
Are you fucking
Kid
shitting
Chameleon.
me?
I want Fantasy Zone. Give me Fantasy Zone. Give me a fucking Space Harrier game. Like this Air Twister garbage.
It's called Air Twister, Chris.
No.
Fucking suck it up and deal.
It's not. It's very specifically not.
New Eternal Champions? Give me New Eternal Champions and Chakan or Shakan or whatever the fuck that game's called.
Shakan, I don't think they don't own Shakan the Forever Man. It's a comic property.
Is it? It shouldn't be.
Yeah. Anyway, Sega doing,
that's great.
Doing theoretical good stuff. It's what I like to hear. Give us Fantasy Zone, give us Ristar. Keep them coming. Give me a new Knights game. I want it all. I'm going to skip through a lot of this stuff quick, because this is going to take forever. Go ahead.
There is a European vinyl site that is taking pre-orders. It's expensive, mostly because of the shipping from Europe, but they're taking pre-orders on a double LP Nights and Dreams.
Yeah, I'm the one who
soundtrack.
posted that in the Discord.
Oh, I didn't see it in the Discord. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I was posted about that on the Discord. Yeah,
I haven't been on the Discord like all day.
Yeah, it's 40 pounds. It looks nice. It's too much for me because I really like maybe half of that game soundtrack, and I don't think I would really listen to the rest of it all that often. So it'd be
that's fair.
If I could get it for cheap, that would be pretty cool, but it's not something I'm going to go out of my way to listen to, so I'm not going to go out of my way to purchase it.
That's fair.
Alright, I'm gonna Final Fantasy 16 getting DLC. I just want to find the important stuff because it's getting late. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero.
Don't give a fuck. Looks exactly like every other Dragon Ball game.
Except Fighter Z, which looks amazing. This just looks like,
Yeah. This looks like... I played this when it was Budokai Tenkaichi or whatever. It looks exactly the same.
I mean, that's what I believe this is supposed to be. It's the next Tenkaichi game, effectively. And that's good for you. I couldn't really get into the Budokai Tenkaichi games. I thought they were neat, but I could never really get a hang of it. And Fighter Z I thought was incredibly cool. And God, more games need to look like Fighter Z. That game looks amazing.
It looks so good.
I just love the look of that game, and I would kill for a Street Fighter game that looked like that. Because I just love the Alpha style and the Street Fighter 3 Third Strike style, and that just seems like a really cool evolution of that kind of 2D fighter. But anyway, Moon Studios, their next game is called No Rest for the Wicked, which looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, that looked cool.
I still don't know what to make of this one. The House, the company that made Untitled Goose Game. Your next game is called Big Walk. It's like
I don't know.
There's some weird duck, chicken, ant looking things, and it's an online go for a walk game.
It did not sell me the way Untitled Goose Game did.
But what possibly could? I'll give it a try. I'm with you. It just doesn't have the same draw as Untitled Goose Game, but also it's an entirely different kind of game. It's so weird. I'm just
saying, like their first thing when Untitled Goose Game came out, it was like, yup, 100%. That looks fucking amazing and interesting, and this just kind of looks like, okay, this probably isn't for me.
This looks like I need to see more. I'm not saying this isn't for me. This might be for me. I don't know. I need to see more. I need to know more about what this game is. So yeah, I'm not sold immediately like I was with Untitled Goose Game, but I love how weird it is. It reminds me of like the guy who made Katamari, right? Or even the guy who made Parappa the Rapper. It's like, well, here's the next thing. Well, this isn't that. Yeah, it's every single game that they make after that. It's like, well, this is weird and interesting, but you're not capturing that same magic. I don't know. This might actually be that. I really don't know. I don't know what to make of this. It's so freaking weird. It's cute. It's bizarre. I'm so happy it exists, but I really need to learn more before I figure out if it's for me. This Jurassic Park thing is weird.
That looks cool.
It does look cool.
It is, because the conceit there is like, oh, so you were also on the island? That sucks. Poor girl. But first-person survival horror within that world, being alone, like knowing that you're alone, that Alan Grant and Ellie and John Hammond and the kids, like, after they've left and you're still there, like, I think for us, like our generation who grew up with the book or the movie or whatever, and the impact that had on us, to then jump into that world with all of that background information to put into the game is going to make it that much more impactful. You know, like, my kids were excited because they were like, ooh, that looks fucking cool. But
yeah,
the fact
it's a neat idea, yeah.
The fact that trailer ends with the raptor, the hooting, honking noise of the raptors in the fucking freezer, and I know why they're in there. Like, I know they're in there, you know, because I've watched the fucking movie, I read the book, I've lived that experience so many times and loved it so much, and it's such an ingrained part of me that as soon as that note, like, she's in there in the kitchen, I'm like, fuck, but there's raptors in the they're over there. I know where they are. That's just a Dilophosaurus. That's like the least of your fucking troubles.
What I find super
really
interesting
excited
about this is that this seems to be a revival of a canceled game from the early 2000s. Jurassic Park Survival was supposed to be a thing a long time ago.
No shit.
Yeah, so it's like, but it's unclear whether or not this is actually that, or if it's kind of a new take, but it seems like...
Or it's just a good name.
Yeah, but it does seem like this is a sort of revival of that concept, which I think is a really interesting thing. Visions of Mana. What's the headline I saw? I'm so ready for Square to make a good Mana game again. It looks real nice.
Yeah.
I'm clearly not a fan of this series. I like that it exists. I'm Secret of Mana.
I'm happy for people that are super
I made
excited.
It through it, you know.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's a neat looking world.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not for me.
This did not get my nipples hard.
Saga. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm happy that this exists. I want it to be good for the people who want good Mana games. I know you're into the Hellblade stuff. That's kind of groovy looking.
Oh, it looks so fucking intense. This Kamuri thing. The Japanese girl got up on stage, Ikumi Nakamura, and like she's worked on The Evil Within, Ghostwire Tokyo. She's got this new independent studio. They're working on this thing, Kamuri, that looked pretty cool. Looked interesting. One of the ones that like I'm really excited about was this the Dead by Daylight Supermassive thing, the casting of Frank Stone. I really like those Supermassive games, the like choose your own adventure stuff. I thought this looked really fucking cool.
I think it's really interesting that World of Goo 2 is happening.
That is pretty cool. It's like 15, 16 years or something like that since the first one.
It's been a while.
That's pretty wild.
So that's kind of cool. I like this studio. I never did get around to playing Human Resource Machine, but I love Little Inferno. So, and the little bit that I did play of World of Goo is pretty cool.
We talked about it on the Discord last night, but Team Ninja basically delivered Dan Ryan the video game with Rise of the Ronin. It's like, yep, there you go. Thanks, guys. Perfect. Exactly what I'm looking for. Nailed it.
That's about all
Just
that I feel
fucking
like
nailed it.
Talking about from the Game Awards. I'm done. There was a lot announced.
There is one more. The game that I was actually super duper impressed by was this Tales of Kenzera Zhao. Abubakar Salim came out like...
It's a Metroidvania game, right?
Yeah. I thought for a second it was going to be the... just like when they were showing the still when he was on stage talking. And it seems like a deeply emotional and personal game for him, which is cool. I thought for a second, I was like, oh shit, is this the Black Panther game that they were talking about? Which it really looked, you could tell like there's a very heavy Ryan Coogler's Black Panther movies specifically influence on like the look of this game. And I'm really cool with that because I think the way that they did Wakanda and representing like that section of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the colors that they used and the pageantry and ceremony and all of that, I thought was so cool. And there were elements of that in this game, and I was like, yeah, this looks fucking dope, but it's a Metroidvania. I was super into that one.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for this too, and it looked really cool, and then I saw EA was involved, and it just turned me off a lot. But you know what?
I mean,
Prince of Persia also looks really fucking great, and that's Ubisoft, so...
yeah.
We do what we can.
Yeah, I know.
We'll see where this goes.
It's one of those things, like, we're just... Some of these big fucking studios, every now and again, are gonna put out things that we're interested in, and that sucks. Because fuck EA and fuck Ubisoft and all of that. But also, I do really want to play that new Prince of Persia game.
Yeah, looks pretty great.
No fucking Silksong shit, Chris.
No. It's never going to happen.
I am convinced that something has gone very wrong. Two things. It's either something has gone very wrong, or they are so in their own heads about it being perfect that it's going to come out like shit. And at this point, I am now very concerned.
I have no idea. I really don't know what to make of it.
Yeah.
But with that, we're going to take ourselves a quick break. And I guess we're going to come back and do this buyer's guide thing. It's already 11:30. We've been talking for a while. But what the hell?
I'm sorry. Well, to be fair, I did take like a 10-minute break. And we started off.
True.
To be fair. Yeah.
We're still like 2 hours in, though. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back,
all right.
we're going to do our buyer's guides. I've put a lot of thought into mine. Which is the exact opposite of reality. But it's going to be fun. I got ideas. It's going to be great. You're listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast from geekade.com. Stick around. Hi everyone, Kris here. Podcast listening is free, but podcast creation is not. That's why the Geekade Patreon exists. In an effort to help us pay the bills, we've got a Patreon page set up where you can gain access to our monthly podcast topic schedule, get early access to many of our shows, and more. If you'd like to help support Geekade and keep these shows running week after week, head over to the Geekade Patreon page, linked in the show notes of this very podcast.
We are Safe at Home, the leading dog rescue in the heart of New Jersey. Are you searching for a loyal companion, a dog that will bring love and joy to your home? Look no further than Safe at Home. At Safe at Home, we believe in giving every dog a second chance. We rescue, rehabilitate, and find loving forever homes for dogs in need, right here in the Garden State. Our dogs are ready to make a lasting impact on your life. Each one has a unique story, a wagging tail, and an incredible capacity for love. When you adopt from Safe at Home, you're not just gaining a pet, you're becoming a part of our family. Our dedicated team ensures a seamless adoption process, providing ongoing support and guidance. With New Jersey's beautiful parks, beaches, and trails, you and your new furry friend will have endless opportunities for adventures and cherished memories. Safe at Home relies on the support of compassionate individuals like you. Your donations and volunteer work enable us to continue saving lives and finding forever homes for these amazing dogs. Join us in creating a safer, happier community for dogs in New Jersey. Together we can make a difference and give every dog the chance to feel safe at home. Visit our website or call us now to learn about how you can be a part of the Safe at Home mission. Safe at Home, because every dog deserves to be loved and protected. www.safeathomerescue.org.
All right, we're back, and it's time to do our holiday wish lists, our holiday buyer's guides, or however you want to handle it. We're going to talk about things that you should get for people like us, or well, like Dan. He had the idea of basically reading you his Amazon wish list. You know what? I think I'm going to take a look at mine too, because that could be fun. I got a bunch of weird stuff on there. I got a handful of other ideas in the world. Dan, why don't you go first? What do you think people should buy for people this holiday season?
Well, one of the things that I find to be incredibly annoying in the world is
dogs.
People who yes, I fucking hate them. Is people who just have conversations through like their earbuds or whatever, just as they are walking throughout the world.
Are you going to tell people to get the Precious Roy all-purpose muzzle?
Yes. No. I find it incredibly rude. I don't know why it bothers me the way that I do, or the way that it does. Because I get involved in the conversation, and I'm like, I don't fucking care about you. I don't care about your life, but now I kind of want to know what happened to Stephanie. And I'm never going to know. That's the fucked up part, is I'm never going to know. But there's an expectation if I see somebody walking around with earpods in or earbuds or whatever the fuck the Apple shit is called, any sort of thing like that, I assume you're going to start having a conversation at some point. So, what I would like is their Razer, usually makes like mice or whatever, Razer Anzu smart glasses. Okay, these are $45 on Amazon. They're blue light filtering, polarized sunglasses that also have a built-in mic and speakers, so that you can have conversations but not have the AirPods in. And I think that would be super fun, because then it really would look like you are just talking to yourself. And I kind of want that, like, that's how I want to participate in the current cultural zeitgeist, is I want these fucking glasses. Plus, it's kind of like, it's such a weird, like, super futuristic, techie kind of thing of, like, touching the arm of your glasses and then talking to the person that called you. I just fucking love that. So these are super cool. Plus, they're also, like, blue light filtering. They're fine to just put on and, like, do work, like at a computer or whatever.
Okay. That's neat.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that is super futuristic. It's like my watch and my Apple Watch. I feel like I'm from the future. It's awesome.
Right? That's the shit. Like, we're supposed to have flying cars by now, Chris. The only thing we have is, like, the sliding open doors. That's it.
Yeah. Bullshit.
No other Star Trek shit.
Well, I'm going in the complete opposite direction. Going completely low tech. And I'm going to recommend a couple of books, because books are awesome. And I think that people should have the Atari Archive Volume 1 by Kevin Bunch and Once Upon Atari by Howard Scott Warsaw. The Atari Archive is just a fascinating book about the launch titles of the Atari 2600, and it's the system's launch. It's got a lot of amazing pictures in it. It's extraordinarily informative. And then the Once Upon Atari is Howard Scott Warsaw's, like, talking about his early career. He's the dude who made Yar's Revenge and E.T. He's a
pretty important dude.
Yeah, and that's been on my wish list for a long time, because I haven't read it, but I've heard wonderful things about it, and I'd really like to read it. So those two books in particular I would recommend as really cool gifts to get for people. And in the realm of books that are awesome to get for people, I've also heard that The Games That Weren't is a really interesting book. It's by Bitmap Books, who produced that one. Yeah. That's been on my list for a little while as well. I've never read it because it's expensive, but it's a big, thick old book, and it looks really cool. It's about all kinds of stuff that never happened, and I think that's a fascinating subject. So yeah, The Games That Weren't. But yeah, the big ones would be Atari Archive and Once Upon Atari. Those would be the books that I recommend for the gamer in your life.
Well, I also had 2 books on my list. One of them is Doom Guy, Life in First Person, which is John Romero just talking about his life and creating Doom and all of those things, and the fucking just sea change that he ushered into, along with, who's the other guy at ID or ID? I said ID. That's going to make people real mad. Maybe. Wasn't there another guy?
Recall. I feel like there was, but I keep wanting to say Ed Boon. That's the Mortal Kombat guy.
No, that's Mortal Kombat.
Okay,
I thought there was another dude for like a little bit, but like it's really John Romero is
John
more...
Carmack? It's John Carmack.
No, maybe.
Who's that?
John Smith. John D. John. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's called Doom Guy. It seems like
he co-founded it. John Carmack. I nailed it.
Okay.
I know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Great. Wonderful. Doom Guy, Life in First Person. Great title. Seems like an interesting book. One that I'm really interested in, though, and I think would make anybody listening to this podcast, this book is 100% for you. It's from Limited Run. You can get it on their site. It is the NES Endings Compendium, Volume 1.
Oh, I've seen that thing.
1985 to 1989. I think that is just such a cool idea to go back and look alphabetically, yearly, through the endings of the NES games with like pictures and discussion and all of that stuff. That's fucking great. That's an awesome idea. Brilliant.
Yeah, the NES Endings Compendium is cool. The Atari Archive is also on Limited Run. They press run books. Did that, but there's also any of Jeremy Parish's books. I'm also very curious about this Plumbers Don't Wear Ties definitive edition softcover book. Like, it's done up like the Worlds of Power books. It's freaking fascinating. But yeah,
there's some really cool shit on here. It's also, a lot of it is really fucking expensive.
Yeah, hardcover books are spicy.
They really are. And like, that is definitely not my preferred way to read. Like I prefer like trade paperback sized, which is different than comic book trade paperback, but trade paperback novel sized soft cover books is what I prefer. Kind of the size of the Sega CD Summer book that we read.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like that sort of size. You know, for the listeners who read that too. But yeah, the really cool idea for a book.
All right, cool.
What you got next? I got a ton of shit.
I do not have a ton of shit. I would say this is a big asterisk next to this. All right, like a huge asterisk. If you can get it for a good price,
okay.
The 2600 plus.
After all the shit you just talked on it to start the show with,
talked on it. Honestly, it's like if it was given as a gift.
You are no better than Jeff Keighley, you fucking shill.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Just kidding.
If it was given as a gift, if you're going to spend the money on it, I don't know about that. But if you were to get one for free, I can't recommend that enough. So, like, okay. I feel like it's the kind of thing that would make somebody else really happy. And the same goes for the Atari VCS. But again, VCS, you've got to make sure you get a good deal on it because it's the all-in bundle is what you want. You need to have you got to get the stupid joystick that I don't like and the classic controller with it. Like, you just have to have those things. So you got to get the all-in bundle in order to do that. But that's $300 goddamn dollars. And no. But when this thing goes on sale, like for $200 or less, that's kind of a cool thing. It's because it is a novelty console. And it's such a neat thing if you're an Atari nut. But if you're not an Atari nut, it's way less of a neat thing. But if you are, that's a really great present. And they do have a dumb speaker hat bundle that, like, if you just got gallons of money to throw at people, like, for stupid presents.
And who doesn't?
Let's buy people speaker hats. It's such a stupid idea. I hate it so much, but I want one.
I know. It's like the fucking glasses. It's ridiculous. But I really want it.
I really want them. I never want to use it other than to just like put it on my head and be like, wow, this is exactly as dumb as I thought it was.
Yeah.
But I want that experience. God, I gotta wonder how many of these things they have. I sincerely doubt they're making more of these speaker hats, which means they just are absolutely inundated with speaker hats at Atari, and they gotta sell them out. But yes, Atari hardware is it's a neat novelty, and if you know somebody who's into that kind of novelty, I say go for it, as long as you can get a good deal on it, because buying it for yourself at that price seems crazy, but giving it to somebody else, giving them the gift of not having to pay money for these ridiculous Atari consoles, that's where it's at. That's the spirit of the season.
That's fair. All right, so this next one for me is kind of a collection of things, but it all kind of works together. But the first part of it is the essential part for the rest of it to work. I am very I'm constantly full of shit in my pockets. Okay, I don't know about you, Kris. But my pockets are just, I've just got so much nonsense in there, and I'm always looking for ways to better organize that, because I use the things that I bring, my everyday carry and whatnot. I use those things that I bring with me. And like last year I got the Orbit keyring, which is great. It is done such a wonderful job of slimming down the profile of like what my keys were, because I have keys to my building that I work in and different rooms in the building, and then my house keys and the back door, and like just all of these different things. This thing has done a wonderful job of slimming that part down, car keys and all of that stuff. So the thing that and I've also moved to like a slimline wallet, because that was fucking my hip up like 2 years ago, of just sitting on a big ass wallet for so long, like that legitimately, if you're a back pocket wallet carrier, it fucks your spine up. So fixing that by getting the slimline wallet. What I want now is the one that I like is by a company called Hide and Drink. And it's not an alcoholic thing that I want. But the company's called Hide and Drink, and it is a multi-tool pocket pouch. All right. So this is like a pocket organizer that you don't like wear in your shirt like a nerd. This is for like men. And it's like waxed leather. It's like all handmade. It's really, really nice. It's not super expensive. But then to go in, and I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Kris, if you're looking it up or not. Because you don't pay that much attention when I talk, but there's to go in said pocket pouch. Okay,
sorry, what was this one called again? Because I was just looking at the Orbit. I was looking at the Orbit keyring when you were talking about that. I was like, oh shit, I missed the name of this one. What was it called? The
Orbit keyring is like essential. It's fucking great.
I don't get it. What is it? Like, it just looks like a keyring. What makes this special?
What it does, it keeps all of your keys flat. Like, it doesn't just hang on a ring, the orbit key thing, it keeps all of your keys flat and you just kind of flip them out like a fucking Swiss Army knife almost. It's great. It like legitimately made a huge difference in how I like felt, in my pockets,
So, like,
which is like a weird thing, but
So it's like the leather loopy looking thing. Because I'm looking at, I just looked at Orbit Key, and it's like, well, this is just a circle. This is just a key ring. But then I scrolled down, and there's this like leathery looking C-shaped thing that has what you're talking about. The keys are all like chunked together like a Swiss Army knife. That's kind of rad. All right, I get it.
Yes.
I get it now. All right, so what's
The
this
Orbit
pocket
Key,
thing you're talking about?
Rubber organizer. Fuck it. There's rubber, there's leather. I have like a rubber one. It's great. And the little multi-tool that goes with it. Fucking awesome. Okay, so this thing is called the Hide and Drink Multi-Tool Pocket Pouch. Okay. So if you look at it, it's this really like just nice handmade, like just I really like the way it looks. The waxed canvas that it's made out of, I think is really cool. It's got spots on the front for like a field notes, like the old school like tiny field notes guide can slip in there, and then it's got 3 different size pockets on the front for different, a pen or whatever things that I will mention here in a second. And then there is a zipper compartment on the back. I particularly like the brown fatigue one because I think that one looks really nice. But I think this thing is super fucking cool. So to go along with your new pocket organizer thing, you need some stuff to go in it. One of those things I would like to put in it is the Write in the Rain all-weather pen. They are these kind of like, they're smaller pens, really, really high quality though. They write really nicely. And they are like, the company is called Write in the Rain. These pens write no matter where you are kind of thing. Those are really fucking awesome. Then for the other pockets, with like doing like the woodworking and stuff that I do, I run into splinters quite a bit, and I always am like, where I can never fucking find tweezers when I need tweezers. Okay. There is a company called, I think it's pronounced Civivi or Civivi. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It's Civivi. They make a really small, retractable tweezer set that's really nice, like for pulling out splinters and that sort of shit. And then I have also found, Kris, and I don't know how often you run into this, but around my house, it is almost impossible to keep nail clippers in any sort of like, there's just with the four, like I can never fucking find them when I need them. So some tiny like portable nail clipper set that you could keep in there as well, I would really, really like. I think that would be awesome.
I don't know. I'm not sure I get this one, but it's neat. Well, I don't keep much in my pockets. So like that's where you and me differ. One of the many ways that you and me differ greatly.
That's the only thing that we're different in.
I keep my phone in my pocket, and that's it. Like when I go out of the house, I throw in my wallet and my keys, and I have my house key and my car key, and like my ShopRite card. Like there's almost nothing on my key ring, so that's the key organizing isn't really much of a problem. And I stopped being a back wallet fella a long time ago, so I keep my wallet in my front pocket. But yeah. So that thing doesn't really do it for me. But I think it's an interesting concept.
I've got a stylus. I've got a pen. I've got I'm always writing little notes and shit down. And I know I can do all that stuff on my phone, but I don't. I'm always just writing shit on like little scraps of paper and whatnot, and just all of these different things that I constantly have with me. And also the Boy Scout, like always be prepared, having the kind of portable tweezer thing there. Like get splinters frequently. It's part of what I do. Like I end up and I'm like always fucking running around looking for tweezers and shit. Just having that thing to be able to bring with me or switch out different things of like, all right, well, the kids and I are going like on a hike today, so I'm going to throw a little like flashlight in here. I don't know. For me, I think that thing is really, really cool.
All right. Well, I'll counter with a non-video game related thing that I think is great. It's at the top of my Christmas list that I'm really hoping for. And it is the Bissell PowerFresh Steam Mop with natural sanitation, floor steamer, tile cleaner, and hardwood floor cleaner with flip-down easy scrubber.
It'll change your life.
I do not like mopping. I like the process of mopping, but having like the mop and bucket, it's like dealing with all of the water, and then I just no. And then any of like the Swiffer little fast mop things, those are all bullshit. None of those ever work the way that I want them to. This thing, from what I've come to understand, is is the business. You want to keep your kitchen floor clean, or your tile floors or whatever clean. This is the way to do it. It's on the top of my list. I think everybody should have an electric mop. God damn it! So electric mops, make it happen. It's good for you.
Yeah, I 100% with you. 100% supported. Completely opposite of that. Still not gaming related. I don't have any like I don't have any gaming related shit on here. Because does anybody need to hear that from us?
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe, I don't know, buy video games for people. The only really gaming related thing I have on here, it's from a company called Haxtech. It comes in like what looks like a little pill tube that you could attach to a keyring, but it is a tiny copper metal dice set. There's like a D20 and like a D6 and like all this fucking crazy shit in there. It's a very tiny little dice set. Anyway, practical things that I think would be good for those, and it could be gaming related, I suppose, if you're using it to charge your phone. There are a ton of companies that make these as well. The ones that I have on my list are from Okupa. They are magnetic electric hand warmers. They are rechargeable hand warmers that also double as like portable chargers for like a phone or Bluetooth headphones or whatever. But these are just two fucking chunks of metal that like you can just put in your coat pocket when it gets fucking cold out and reach your hands in, and there you go. Like I think they last, they have like a 16-hour battery life. So if you're working outside, if you're shoveling snow, if you're taking a walk, if you just have cold hands in general, these things I think are really fucking cool and really silly and kind of techie, and I like them quite a bit.
Nice. Well, I have something video game related, and I am going to heartily recommend and I think I brought these up on the show last week or the week before, the 75 OHM mini coax gold-plated AV cables for Sega Genesis 2, Sega 2, and NEC Core Graphics, Super Graphics, and Duo. But really, the Genesis 2 one's probably the most useful one. But Retro Frog has these wonderful, high-quality, standard composite AV cables, which is like not something that other people would do. They always do like really high-quality component or high-quality HDMI, but like standard composite cables, nobody puts a lot of effort into making those high quality anymore. And these Retro Frog cables they have more of it does more of a difference than you'd think as far as making your retro stuff look really good on your older televisions. I think they're super cool. I'm glad he's making them, and the more he sells, the more different kinds he's going to do. So the Genesis 2 one's super useful, especially if you have like an EDFX, so you can use Genesis 2 cables on your like TurboGrafx, or like they're good quality cables, and I recommend them for the retro gamers in your life.
That is very cool. Something that I am very interested in that I think would be really beneficial for me personally, but I think is something that you would find applications for. I think most of us would find applications for this. It's called a Rolling Square Air Card. Rolling Square is the company that makes it. It's called the Air Card. All right, so this is a business card sized GPS tracker that also has an NFC or QR code on it. So I find all the time when I'm out and about talking to people, either talking about the podcast or talking about the rescue or whatever, I have had business cards in the past, and I always like, okay, I can't fucking like whatever. I ran out of business cards. I forget to order more, and I'm talking to this person about my rescue, and it's a website, and blah 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 blah. Right, and whoever goes to the thing because you don't fucking remember the website address or whatever. So this thing, not only is it a GPS tracker that you can keep in your wallet, which is somewhat important, to know where it is. It's very very thin. It's 2 millimeters thick, so it's very very thin. It has a little sound chip in it to where, like, if you lose your wallet, you can find it, linking it to your phone or whatever. But with the QR code and the NFC code that are on it, this then becomes a digital business card. So anybody that you meet, they could be like, oh, you have this podcast, or you have this rescue, or you have this whatever the fuck it is that you do. Instead of carrying around a ton of business cards to pass out or writing a website down for somebody or whatever, you pull this out, have them scan the QR code, have them tap or access the NFC, and it takes you to wherever you need them to go. And like, I think that's fucking incredible. I think that's so cool. And to just have it with you, it's always in your wallet. It's always there. You never need to get more business cards. You can just link it right to somebody's phone. I think that is super fucking cool. This thing's like $28.
Well, that is pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah. That's neat.
Because how many times when we walk around conventions are we like, fuck, did you bring business cards? Nope. All right. I guess we'll just tell people. You know what I mean? Instead of just being like, well, here, pulling it out, having somebody scan it, and then you've got access to it. And it's on your phone so that the next time you go to the bathroom, whatever, you pull your phone out, you open your phone up, you're like, oh yeah, that fucking thing. And you start looking through it, and there you go. And then you adopt the dog from me. Or listen to the podcast or whatever the case may be.
Well, I'm going to say, back to the video game related stuff, I've sung this device's praises before in the past. If you have somebody to shop for who is a Super Nintendo fan, I cannot recommend the Hyperclick mouse for Super NES quite enough. This is from Hyperkin. It is a modern IR style mouse, like infrared instead of the rolling ball style. So it's like a modern mouse for Super Nintendo with an extra long cable. So you can sit back instead of sitting 3 feet away from your TV with a super short Super Nintendo cable and use an actual reliable mouse to play stuff like Mario Paint, Arkanoid Do It Again, and Tin Star. On your Super Nintendo in style. It is a lovely thing. It's a bit of a chonky mouse, but the button presses they work nice. The cord length is great, and it's extra reliable, unlike the rolling ball style one. So I like that accessory quite a bit, and it gets my recommendation as a cool gift to get for the Super Nintendo fan in your life. And I'm gonna say let's each do 1-2 more tops because it's getting late and I'm flagging.
Okay. Well, fuck, there's a lot of pressure then. What else do I have on my list that is worthy of the 1 or 2 more, Kris? I think that you should get, because they have made such a huge difference in the way that I play games and watch movies and television and all of that stuff. The Govee RGBIC lights for the back of your television and the light bars that you can place around your room and have that kind of immersive experience with the color changing lights as the camera's reading what's on the screen is just so fucking cool. specifically like in a lot of the big action movies and action games and whatnot. Just so fucking awesome and worth every penny. And super easy to fucking set up. Like you can be a fucking moron and set them up. Is that a good selling point? You could be a fucking idiot and you could set them up.
It's great. I love it. Nailed it. Well, I gotta say, I feel like there's something important that I'm missing here. I know there was some sort of product we got into the site recently that I thought was super cool, and now I can't think of anything. Like, we've got a lot of interesting stuff lately, but not stuff that I would say, oh, that's a great gift.
Yeah.
Other than Stone Age Gamer t-shirts. Got some nice t-shirts.
We do.
Outside of that.
You do. I'm going to say we, but it's not a we.
It's our PlayStation thing. Like, there's the Defender from Retro Fighters is pretty cool. The Wingman got an update. There's a Wingman 2 now. There's a lot of mod parts. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank here. You know what? I tell you, if you know somebody who does retro gaming, get them a gift card for anywhere that sells box protectors, like either Stone Age Gamer or Retro Protection, videogameboxprotectors.com. Just the box protectors are such an important thing for anyone who collects retro games, outside of Genesis. But even then, you can get box protectors for Genesis games too. But I just think they're super important to have, and they've offered a lot of interesting sizes for these things. I just got a handful a month or two ago, actually, for my Mario Paint and Super Game Boy boxes, and the thick box things for GameCube, like Four Swords Adventures and Odama. So it's really nice having those things protected, like my copy of WarioWare Twisted. That's a really expensive Game Boy Advance game, and I had it complete in box, but it took me forever to find an actual box protector that fits it. And there's one specifically made for it, and they have that at, I think, Retro Protection, which is where I got that one from. That's a big recommendation from me. Get the people in your life the access to more box protectors, says I.
All right. Well, then the last thing I will mention, Kris, is the thing that I am wanting the most this year. And there are much more expensive versions of it that I find just more ostentatious than they need to be. The Ember and the Next Wave being the two most guilty of that. Like, we're talking over $100 for each of these things. But what I am looking at is the Ikego Smart Mug Warmer. Okay, so this is a ceramic coffee cup warmer, and you plug it in and you turn it on and you set your desired temperature for how hot you would like your coffee or your tea or your apple cider or your hot toddy or your whatever the fuck you're drinking. And as you are drinking, and you do, like, you have to use a ceramic mug. It helps when you have the ceramic mug that does not have, like, the lip on the bottom of the coffee mug. You know what I'm talking about? Sometimes, like, there's a little lip and it's indented a little bit, or it's concave on the coffee mug. So if it's more of a flat surface or whatever, but you put your fucking mug down on it and it keeps it at that temperature. And that's it. And that, for me, is super important because I love coffee. I love tea. I love hot apple cider. I specifically like hot apple cider with, like, butterscotch schnapps in it. That's really fucking good. But I dislike intensely when those things get room temperature or cold. I like iced coffee a lot, but those are two very, very different things. And having this, because, like, we're adults, we have lives, we have jobs, we have things that are going on. I make my cup of coffee, I set my coffee down, I come back to it 10 minutes later or 5 minutes later, and it is a noticeably different temperature than what it was when I first made it. And I want it at that temperature. This thing keeps it there. It's $50. It does the exact same thing. The Ember and the Next Wave, I think, have like they have proprietary cups that come with it and apps that you can link to and like all this other shit. I don't need all that. I just need to be able to like put this down and my coffee stays the fucking temperature that I want it to.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know shit about coffee, but I know Karen's interested in all that kind of stuff, so I'll take note of that one.
Yeah, I like the Next Wave is really nice looking. The Ember is the one that they sell at like Best Buy. I think we were in Best Buy today doing a little Christmas shop. I think it was like $140 or something like that. Which it's nonsense. It doesn't need to be that, especially because like these other ones work with a ceramic coffee mug. You know, like you have a ceramic coffee mug at your house. You can just put it on that. Yeah, I'm looking right now on Amazon. The temperature control Smart Mug 2 14-ounce app-controlled heated coffee mug with 80-minute battery life and improved design, $110, which is on sale from $150. You fuck off with all that noise. I don't need all that.
A lot.
That's a lot to keep my coffee at a consistent temperature. Like that is some bougie ass shit. But for $50, and I can just grab the fucking Dick Tracy coffee mug that I've had for 30 years out of my cabinet, done. Sold. That's the thing I want more than anything this year.
Sounds like a big old bag of win for coffee drinkers everywhere.
That's right. And we drink coffee when we play games.
Do we? I don't know. I don't drink coffee at all.
You should.
I do know that I would like to go to bed, and that we have been recording for a very long time. So it is time for us to call it a night. That is our show. Those are our holiday wish lists, holiday gift ideas, our gift buyer's guides. Also, through Christmas at StoneAgeGamer.com, we got the holiday deals going on. That's every day at noon. 3 new products go on sale for 72 hours at a time. It's pretty cool. I don't even know all the stuff that's coming up on it, but there's a rotating list. It's not a rotating list. It's just a whole new list. Every day there's 3 new things that go on sale, and that's kind of neat. So keep your eyes peeled on that stuff. And that is our show. Join us next week when we'll be no, that's not what we're doing. We talked about that a minute ago. What are we doing next week? What the hell is next week? We're talking about it's the year in review. Yes, next week is our year in review. Dan and I are going to go through the year that was 2023. Honestly, one of the best and worst games for video games. Yes, years for video games. Wow, I'm losing the ability to speak properly. I think it's going to be an interesting show, and I think we're going to skip most of the other stuff to just handle that, so that we don't have to be here for 3 hours. But who knows? I know some people like that kind of stuff. But anyways, we're on most social media platforms, and if you want to get in touch with us, we aren't very difficult to find. All it takes is a quick look at our show notes, and you'll see links to our social media accounts, as well as all manner of other fun stuff, like a link to our namesake, StoneAgeGamer.com, and more useful links than you can shake a joystick at. If you'd like to get early access to this show's episodes, as well as a bevy of other shows on the Geekade Podcast Network, check out our Patreon, also linked to in the show notes. It helps keep this show running week after week, and all our patrons are loved and appreciated. This show's theme song, Squared Roots, was written by Banjo Guy Ollie. You can learn about all of his wonderful music and more by following the link to his YouTube channel, also in the show notes. And finally, as always, we'd like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan, for making the show listenable for all you folks. And we'd like to thank all you folks for listening in the first place. That is it, everybody. On behalf of Dan and myself, keep playing games.